1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. Hello everybody, I am in Messina in Sicily. Agata is a mother, a wife and a lifelong travelling companion to Franco, both of them born and raised in Messina, Italy. She is an extraordinary cook, a welcoming host, a stylish dresser, an artist at heart, a do-it-yourself interior designer and a stunning embroiderer. And she makes some unbelievable bootleg liquor. Essentially, she is someone who can turn her hand to anything, a real force of nature. But I was struck by her altruistic spirit in many conversations we had, evident in her actions and her sentiments and her life perspective. So, Agata, we've talked a lot about many things during my visit, but you've agreed to speak especially about the whole business of emigration, because it's had a direct impact on your life, though you are not and never have been a migrant. But your two beautiful daughters left you and Franco many years ago, migrating to the UK to improve their career prospects. And that's a fairly typical migrant story. Yours is the experience of those left behind who become a victim of sorts of this phenomenon, but are not often spoken about. So, let me ask you, how did your daughter's displacement affect you?
Initially, the thing didn't seem so hard to deal with because you understand they have to have their own path to follow. They're free to make their own choices. Obviously, over time, you reflect on everything and you miss your family. It's normal. You think about the future, about maybe not having a grandchild around to enjoy. You miss Sundays with your children while other families enjoy theirs. Anyway, we chat often, we catch up, we spend time together over the internet. It's the physical contact that we miss. We can't do much about it, sadly. We do organise trips to visit the girls and spend time with them.
You know, one thing that impressed me is that notwithstanding the huge distance between them and you really are in constant, let me underscore that, constant, i.e. daily contact with them. Even when they don't pick up the phone, you chat via SMS using Alexa, the digital communication system, one of those AI products. In other words, you keep the lines of communication open and instantaneous.
It's clear that they too are dealing with daily problems of life, like us, facing the same challenges. And even if we're far away, we've never hidden anything from them. And they keep us in the loop with what's been happening at their end. Staying in touch is important. That's how you maintain ties with people dear to you because, as I say, half my heart has emigrated while half remains here. 1/4 of which belongs to my husband. The other 1/4 I reserve to myself, my feelings, my life.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're very philosophical, actually, a very balanced person as I'm listening.
Okay, thank you.
So, listen, another question. I understand moving to the UK was a boon to the girls' careers, but what have been the broader ramifications on their lives?
Well, relocating was their decision because they found working here very problematical. We're all familiar with how things work in Italy. So to end up feeling exploited in a job after many years of study and all the sacrifices you make along the way that they made and we all made together as a family helping them, well, let's say that it's enormously satisfying now to see they finally made it. Still, even for them after 13 years, life is starting to get a little harder.
13 years, yeah.
Yeah, after 13 years, naturally, they're missing their family. They're concerned about mum and dad getting older, understandably maybe becoming less independent and maybe needing support. Let's hope the good Lord keeps us well and safe so that they don't have cause to worry about us.
In fact, You are both two extraordinarily independent characters, you and Franco. You're dynamic and you're certainly lively.
Well, certainly. We have to be.
Yeah. You referred to your daughters feeling exploited in their jobs here in Italy. How so? If you don't mind my asking, I mean, you're not going to end up in court over this.
No, not at all, not at all. My daughter Marilisa started working at 16. She studied and was working at the same time. She was paid cash in hand, so she didn't have super, even when she was older and could have set up her own fund. On the other hand, our oldest, Grazia, she had very little super accumulated as he hadn't worked very long at the hospital, roughly a month and a half, and then in a care facility where we had to go personally to collect her last salary payment, given that by then she'd moved to London because she couldn't survive on monthly payments, when she was paid at all, of course. She couldn't face the prospect of being kept by her father.
Couldn't you have taken the matter to court, got a lawyer or something to get the money that she was due?
Well, I mean, in these situations, you're behind the 8 ball from the start. Anyway, she decided to leave and she left. Both the girls managed to find jobs. They learnt the language, and over 13 years, they became ensconced in their careers. They're very happy there. They're respected and properly remunerated because, unlike here, a merit-based system operates over there.
Merit. What is merit in this world?
Well, here I don't think we even grasp the meaning of the concept.
That's true. It's sad to see the depths to which Italy has descended.
It's sad to see our children compelled to leave their own country to secure themselves a future. It's sad because we parents can't live forever, so neither we nor they feel like we're living to the fullest, like this, still helping them when we go there. But at least they've made something of themselves, and what they've achieved gives them a sense of personal pride.
Well, look, if I can insert myself in the conversation, this situation is also one of the reasons why how can I put it? I rejected Italy.
Yeah, however beautiful our country can appear, however ancient it is, whatever wondrous fruits it may offer, sadly, our governments are unable to provide us with secure futures. And this is sad. Really sad.
Again, talking about me, I agree with you, by the way. Even if I had become part of an elite class, as I felt was happening to me in the academic world, where I was studying in Pisa, I was being afforded privileges and opportunities, I was doing well, I was being liked. I had a growing awareness of the social, the economic and the career inequalities that were growing around me because of the environment I was living in. If you're truly a Democrat at your core, if you value egalitarianism, equality, well, I think I do, you find it difficult simply to adopt a way of thinking and behaving based on exclusivity and discrimination. You cannot enjoy that way of living. You reject it in many subtle ways. You undermine it at every turn. I better stop, but I know that whenever I would come down to Rome from Pisa, I always felt like the odd fish, and people treated me like a geek. Anyway, I'm getting lost in generalisations and moralising and making it too personal as well.
Well, yeah, if you want to change the balance of things, you have to change. If you can't change the system, you've got to make the different choices for your own future.
Now, speaking of Italy's failure to build a society that respects merit, you get ahead because you think you've earned the right through things that you've achieved, but then somebody else grabs a job. Anyway, speaking of Italy's failure to build a society that respects merit, giving people what they deserve because of what they've achieved, your approach to life is to believe, in fact, in rewarding those who deserve it, which is why you could, and you still do support your daughter's right to exercise free will, free choice.
Of course, absolutely. Neither I nor my husband forced them into doing something, nor forbade them from doing things. We counselled them, yes, because it's our responsibility, our right to advise. But any decision was theirs to make. We raised our daughters having complete confidence in them, teaching them to be humble and upstanding, so that wherever they might find themselves, they'd know how to behave. They left as young women, Marilisa 19, Grazia barely 25. They were very young. You know, it was going to another country, a city like London.
Totally unknown.
Yes, well, I mean, they'd gone there once on a holiday, but it's not the same thing. All places are lovely when you're in holiday mode, but living and working there, you're facing a different set of realities. But still, we had total confidence in them. We knew we didn't have to worry about the girls, about how they deal with situations based on their understanding of what's right and wrong. That sums it up.
And let us say, we're not speaking out of school, they met two young men who respect them.
Yes, they have two young men in their lives who absolutely care for them deeply. Actually, today, Grazia is celebrating 5 years of being in a relationship with Paul, while Marilisa has been with Joseph for almost 3 years. Both girls previously had Italian boyfriends, but things didn't go as hoped. It was meant to be. Anyway, I'm glad they have these young men in their lives who respect them, because respect is everything. It leads to love, esteem, everything.
Everything. I was about to say, if there's no respect, well, I don't know. There can't be real love. Maybe that's just infatuation or lust.
Well, you can't simply fall in love with someone's good looks without loving them for who they are. Beauty fades over time. It's natural. It's like that for everyone.
Yes. It's like that for everyone, for sure. The whole way you're presenting it keeps bringing it back to this awareness that you have this wisdom about you, which is your, I guess it's your code, and which expresses understanding life as maybe a series of personal revelations. But many people don't think. Something in them isn't right upstairs in their brains. For me, maybe I'm being a bit arbitrary and absolutist, but they need fixing, and I'm not sure how else to explain it.
Well, I think appearances, how we appear to everyone else, can change over time. What you are, though, is what remains.
Ooh, very profound. There are many in this world who fall in and out of love, like getting into bed and falling out of bed. So at a certain point, one does have the opportunity to become familiar with others, but also to come to know oneself better, if you really want to be self-aware.
Well, of course, the better you know yourself, who you are, the better you'll understand the person in front of you.
Yeah, I guess many they get lost in the diving in. They see the water of pleasure before them and they dive in. Anyway, let's move from the personal to some broader considerations. Now, I know that you are by nature given to philosophizing, pursuing unbiased understanding, looking at situations from many perspectives. There are never just, two sides to any story. And I'd like you to shift your thinking to how you see the world and some of its problems. Yeah, the world and some of its problems relating to the migrations of people all over this, what we now call globalised planet, but it's probably always been globalised. Looking at and considering how it has impacted a socio-economically stressed out Italy. So what's the impact of this globalised migration as it hits the shores of Italy and permeates through society here? Personally, I'm tired of hearing how immigration movements into this country is out of control. that it is a big contributing factor to Italy's woes. I recall when I was here in the 80s and into the 90s and before then and since then, there have been many and constant waves of arrivals from Africa, the Middle East, from Eastern Europe, from South Asia. Would you like to express some personal thoughts about how you've experienced this in Italy?
Well, certainly the situation has gotten a little worse than it was, in the sense that new arrivals have greatly increased in number. And with the wars going on, they'll keep increasing because unfortunately that's how it goes. I don't think it's right to leave them to their fate, that is, those people escaping other places.
No, it's not.
By letting them drown.
Yeah.
We retrieve so many bodies, women and children, men and young boys from all backgrounds. I think the money we spend at our end supporting them should be spent to help them in their own countries. I think that's the best, because these people fleeing, coming over here, end up only facing a terrible existence. And let's not talk about the criminality that spreads as a result of the impoverished existence here. But they should be helped in their own countries. Here we spend millions to create places, situations to allow them to lead decent lives, which is not an easy thing to do. But they disappear. They take off because Italy is merely a jumping off point. They all want to go to Spain, to London, but they come through here because we're close to them. You see what I'm saying? For many of us, it's a tragedy to see these youths roaming the streets who have abandoned houses built for them to live in. It's horrible then to see them behind bars, locked gates, and to think to yourself, what kind of reality is this? Where have we ended up?
Yeah. In fact, many of them, when interviewed, they say they didn't want to leave their countries. We even hear this in Australia, and that's fair enough. They don't want to leave their cultures, their families, all their traditions. And I guess,
and also risk dying, because many die.
Yeah,
it's
but
terrible.
But I think it's also the fact that they come to another country and they feel judged or they feel discriminated against. They feel ostracised. It's another form of abuse too.
Well, they have no other choice. And of course there are criminals among them. There's nothing that can be done to stop that. And that's unfortunate for the others who are not like that at all.
Well, there's as a result of all of this, there's a new form of slavery at work here too. Once the Arabs, the Portuguese, the British and others, they exported or stole, I suppose you could say, people from Africa and took them to the Americas and elsewhere, sold them, made fortunes from using people. Now people smugglers trade in human lives. Local criminal organisations capture these lost peoples. They exploit them, they mistreat them. Local authorities at many levels are involved as well. Look, it happens in Australia. It's been going on for a long time, even if they're not really illegals, because people are under the United Nations Convention for Refugees. People are actually, in effect, legally protected if countries wish to assist them in that movement. And now for a musical interlude. The song you're going to hear an excerpt from is called Will I Ever, written by Walter Musolino and Davide Musolino. You can hear the rest of the song right at the end of the podcast today. Enjoy.
It's complicated now. She says to me, corruptingly, there's no doubt about it, there's no doubt about it. She came to me. She says that she's sorry, I don't think that she's sorry. She came to me. She says that she's sorry, I don't think that she's sorry. Will I ever love again? Will I
how they end up living as a form of enslavement. It's sad, really sad. I suffer witnessing it all.
Yes, and in your case, living in Italy, the Italian peninsula has this strange boot-like shape. But in reality, it's not so much booting people out or people away. It offers an inadvertent helping hand to those escaping the systemic poverty, war, genocide, upheaval, and that's happening even though the government has said incredibly, well, I think it was in 2024, that Italians should not be helping people to land in Italy, that even all the ones coming to Lampedusa, if they make it, they make it, but Italians will be penalised by law if they go out to help them and bring them in. Can you believe that?
Yeah, well, it's the closest hand to them, and unfortunately they reach for it.
You mean Italy?
Yes,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
Sadly, it's a reminder of how our own immigrants used to leave to go to America. Here we say, you've found America.
Oh, you've struck it rich.
You've struck it rich,
Yes.
yeah. But they, the Africans fleeing by boat, don't find America or any salvation. They face misery, hunger, unemployment. They find poverty, illness because they live on the streets. Winter comes and many are out in the cold and are hungry despite the many welfare centres, the shelters that we set up for them. In any case, it's a horrible existence they lead. They think, I get to Italy and who knows what kind of welcoming America, in inverted commas, I'll find. But it doesn't exist. Some do manage to integrate, and I'm pleased that happens, but most of them don't.
Yeah, well, to be a bit facetious, human beings are not like Alexa, the artificial entity. They have ambitions, they have got passions, a desire for purpose. They love, suffer. Well, they love and suffer. And for as long as they are only and barely surviving, disoriented, well, they're pushed to extremes, ultimately, to defying the social norms and the rules that they've ended up in the middle of in any society. And they end up inevitably, in order to survive, acting in uncivilised ways. That doesn't mean they're uncivilised people, but that's what circumstances compels them to do. And then we are quick to condemn them, but they're not lawless people by nature. We demonise them, but they're not demons. They're us.
Of course, and that's why it's only when they end up in the hands of the mafia that they start dealing in drugs and all this sort of thing. Yes, they're forced into this type of life, but it's not the way to live.
Right. Yeah, look, there's so much more we could say on this topic.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Anyway, I'm going to be cruel. Again, let's move on. If you and Franco were younger, well, you are young. You're a beautiful-looking couple. And you're comfortably set up here in a suburb called, I forget.
Torre Faro.
Oh, yeah, of course. Lighthouse. Because you're on the water. And we can see Calabria across the water. Anyway, oh, God. Okay. If your girls were also young things and you were able to move to another country, take them with you, leave as a family, would you have done it? Under what conditions or under what pressures would you have found reasons to cut the umbilical connection with the mother country and just take off?
Well, look, as I say, it's normal to cut the cord with the mother country. It's sad. I see it with my daughters. It's sad. Obviously, we know our daughters are over there and it'd be too wonderful to be able to live together. Probably I'd still do it now, that is to leave Italy. Not my husband, though. He enjoys going to the UK, but after a month he feels the need to come home. Then happy to live again, but always he feels the need to come home. I married him 41 years ago and I'm stuck with him.
Stuck with him.
I could never abandon him.
Never abandon him. Interesting. Well, look, there's no detectable tension between you two piccioncini, you two little lovebirds. You seem to accept each other, understand each other as you are.
Yes, I understand his needs. Of course, as the two of us have always said, if the girls ever needed us desperately, we would be over there in a flash. There's no doubt about that. But to move there and stay forever, well, he doesn't like that idea.
Okay, and what about you?
It'd be easier for me. As a woman, a mother, when you visit your daughters, you're kept busy. You're very much involved in their lives. You look after the house when they're at work, even if they don't want me to make a fuss. I should be relaxing. I'm on holiday. But when they're at work, there are domestic chores, the kitchen, the shopping to do. As a man, he, Franco, has less to do around the house, of course. He's got time on his hands, even if we do go out a lot. We visit parks, we do things as a couple, because after 13 years, we know the area. We're familiar with the public transport system. Anyway, as I say, if I had to consider moving, I would.
Okay. Would you have done it at your daughter's ages, if you were your daughter's age of not either 19 or 20 or 25? Would you have done it without kids in tow if you didn't have kids? Would you have become a migrant? I guess there have to be reasons, wouldn't there be?
I would never have thought of going to London at Christmas. I would never have thought of it. More than anything, my parents needed me. They counted on me. I drove them around, cleaned the house. Whenever I went away on my Christmas break, my father would have a crisis of some sort. So I wouldn't have wanted to give them any grief in this regard. Also, I wanted to be a good mother, a good wife. It's only natural that one's kids, the family, comes first. But when you know two elderly people need you, I just wouldn't have been able to do it.
Our important relationships are like a call of the wild. That is a call of the wild. What's that? It's the call of home. You know, Buck in the book by Jack London, The Call of the Wild, finally finds his place among the wolves, even though he's a dog, because that's his true nature, and all dogs come from wolves in origin. So when his master is killed by Indians and he hears the "oh," he vanishes and becomes part of the wolf packs. It's the call of home. So yeah, our important relationships are a call of the wild.
When I got engaged, my husband's job required him to move around a lot in the early days. And already at that point, my father was given to having fits. He was even in despair at our getting engaged. We were young, but so were our parents. I'm talking about 43 years ago when I say he was in despair. He could have died. That's how much he was attached to me. Both of them felt this special attachment. So that's our situation too now. But never say never in this life, because tomorrow we could change our minds or the girls might come back home. That would be too wonderful. But with the great careers they've forged for themselves, coming back would be a backward step. What would have been the point of giving up everything just to come back again?
Yeah. Look, these last thoughts you've articulated about the why of moving or not moving capture the very real concerns that migrants and their loved ones face and, they have to endure when moves away do take place. In your case, as you describe it, the possibility of it happening was and is, it's hypothetical. Only some irresistible necessity would have compelled you to leave, and then at such a cost, one presumes.
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't have done it.
Okay, fair enough. Look, one last question then. Do you or Franco know... Hey, Franco, why weren't you here today for this chat, damn it? Anyway, I know he didn't want to be part of it. Do you know any fellow Italians who've emigrated? How did things work out for them?
Well, if we're talking about internal migration within Italy, well, yes, there's my brother who moved to Bergamo. What I can tell you is that he's been there for almost 9 years.
Oh, Bergamo, that's up not far from Milan.
This summer, 2024, he moved down here to southern Italy, hoping to find employment in his profession. But the salary package associated with the position didn't actually come to pass, and he had to return home to Bergamo and to a real job, as any honest man would have done. That's how badly treated people are down here.
So he wasn't able to earn commensurate to his qualifications, or maybe instead of offering him a full package, maybe they said, you don't have to go into it, but I'm assuming, don't worry about superannuation, we'll give you cash in hand, a bit of black market payments. Maybe asked him also to overlook certain things that didn't follow regulations. I know what you're alluding to.
Yeah, well, you have to be able to survive somehow, right? Money isn't everything, but it is if you don't have it.
Well, that's true enough. All of us want to live without having to struggle if we can. We don't want to live in a jungle.
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you do it? It's very difficult. Very difficult. Then again, I suppose you'd get bored if you didn't have something to fight for. You'd get up and tell yourself, I haven't got anything to do, nothing to strive for. I can't complain to anyone during the day. You have to keep yourself occupied.
Yeah, actually, while I've been on this trip with my brother-in-law and Rosemary's sister, hanging out with Sarah and Carmelo every day during this trip, I've kept thinking about how they would have liked to continue working in their cake shop in some part-time capacity, because it gave them something to do, but also it was something meaningful to them. They helped to build it, that business. And they were so central to its success over such a long time. She, front of house, serving loyal customers, entertaining them, and new ones, and he out back baking, teaching others how to make cakes, guiding them in the ways of a family business. But they were forced out effectively. There wasn't real respect in the end shown to them when it mattered. And I found myself, as we've been travelling around Italy, talking, spending so much time together, I asked myself, where did they now find their sense of purpose, of fulfilment, if they're not working in that shop anymore? Well, they own a comfortable house and they live pretty well. And what I've noticed is that the creative talents they displayed in the cake shop haven't actually left them. Carmelo is talented with his hands. He builds shelves, planter pots, helps his youngest son, who is a cabinet maker, and he still bakes for himself and friends. And I think his products are much better than the ones they do in the old family business. Sarah, on the other hand, is a marvellous cook and is an active linchpin for their family, which includes grandparenting. She is a real morale officer, keeping tabs on how everyone is going. It's not surprising that they constantly host lunches and dinners. They bring family and friends together, and always, whatever problems may be in the air, always in a spirit of love and peace. It's lovely to be in their company, always has been. So the message I decrypt from observing them is what I see with you, that good family ties, whatever kind of family network you live in, are crucial to live emotionally well, and that purpose comes from, let's call it, beneficent service towards others. This is one thing many migrants suffer, the loss of being far from home, of being far from a network of support and comfort, and they never quite find it again. So, going back to your brother, sorry about that long digression, he felt like just about everybody, I'd say, feels, is the visceral need to return home when he came to find a new job in southern Italy and he left Bergamo. It was his call of the wild. He tried, but he didn't succeed. Well, he hasn't succeeded now, but he may in the future.
Well, my brother's 55 years old, he's not a kid anymore, and he's separated.
And he can't be close to the sister he hankers to be close to. Do you know others in a similar predicament?
Well, there's my husband's brother who lives in Novara, a city way up in northern Italy. He's been away many years. I got engaged around the time he joined the railways.
Okay, so he's obviously made a career up there, because once you get a government job, you're set for life. Well, Agata, I'm going to have to cut it short now. I'd like to thank you for letting me interview you for our Immigrants and Exiles podcast series. You're an extremely busy woman within the family and your local community. With Franco, you make a wonderful couple, full of caring towards those you come into contact with. Look, thanks for making the time, Agata.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed the exchange of ideas.
Ciao Agata, a presto.
Ciao.
Grazie Agata.
Grazie Dante.
Ciao.
Ciao anche a te.
Says to me corruptingly, there's no doubt about it, there's no doubt about it. She came to me. She says that she's sorry, I don't think that she's sorry. She came to me. She says that she's sorry, I don't think that she's sorry. Will I ever love again? Will I ever love again? It's complicated now. She says to me corruptingly, there's no doubt about it, there's no doubt about it. She came to me. She says that she's sorry, I don't think that she's sorry. She came to me. She says that she's sorry, I don't think that she's sorry.